Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 168 of the 815 Exchange. And well, boy, it was a tragic week in UFC. I mean, an absolutely tragic week in Dubai, but we will talk about that. I mean, it was some god-awful reffing, by the way, across all major sports. You know, you might have thought, if you just watched college football, you might have thought, man, the reffing was bad this week in college football. If you just watched the NFL yesterday, you might have said, man, the reffing was bad yesterday. And if you watched just the UFC 294 card, you might have said, yes, man, the reffing was bad this week. But it was bad across all sports. We'll talk about that, and yes, a whole lot more. Of course, the last time I possibly have to talk about my favorite team this year, USC, we got, well, I told you what was going to happen. We'll get to that, though. And yeah, just a whole lot more. Got some baseball to talk about, of course, as we reach the end of the League Championship Series tonight, and we'll talk about and preview those games. But yes, full slate ahead as always. And as always, everything you're looking for can be found in the description. My social media links, if you're looking for timestamps, they should be embedded in the video, as well as can be found in the description. And as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, get your food, get your drinks, because we going straight to college football. Yes, indeed. The game of the week was at 12 o'clock. How about that? A noon game gets to be the game of the week. And, of course, it was the almighty Ohio State versus Penn State game. And James Franklin is what? He's 0-17? Or is it 1-17? Somebody let me know what the metric is. It's one of the two. It's actually incredible how bad James Franklin is in big games. I mean, it's unbelievable, his record. Ohio State, if you haven't gotten the gist, wins this game 20-12 in an absolute defensive battle. A completely defensive battle. This was a very unremarkable game offensively. Drew Lamar, welcome to college football. This was the welcome to college football week. And boy, did he get welcomed with easily the worst game of his collegiate career so far. 18 for 42, 191 yards, and I believe that's one touchdown. Awful game for Lamar. Awful game. And it was a terrible introduction for people that don't know what Lamar was or what he's supposed to be. Boy, oh boy. It was a rough game. Credit where credit's due to that Ohio State defense, like I said, though. JT, Tommy Eichenberg, Steel Chambers. It was a complete defensive performance from the front seven to the secondary, from the defensive coordinator. Just everybody executed, and they executed excellently. So Ohio State was able to get it done. This game was also another Marvin Harrison Jr. showcase. Marv needs to be in Heisman. If this continues, he needs to be in Heisman consideration. He should be in Heisman consideration. I mean, with the way the Heisman has really become a quarterback award, right? But the way the quarterbacks performed, and we'll talk about this week, they all sucked. For the most part, all were like either mid to suck, besides maybe Jaden Daniels. And somebody else who I'm forgetting. Oh, J.J. McCarthy, who is now a Heisman favorite, by the way. We need to look outside of quarterbacks this year, okay? Look outside. I know this is supposed to be this is the year of the quarterback, but we need to look outside of quarterbacks this year. That's all I'm saying. Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of them ones. 11 receptions, 162, and a touchdown for Marv. They haven't had the same running game. Trevion Henderson as well is injured, and of course they don't believe in Mayan Williams for whatever reason. So a lot of the focus has been getting more targets to Marv, and it's worked out plentifully. So yes, shout out to Ohio State. They get a big win versus Penn State. Once again, James Franklin cannot win big games, and he cannot beat Ohio State, nor can he beat Michigan. Oklahoma. Boy, oh boy. I mean, OU fans, it was the greatest week of their lives. All right, it was the greatest week to be an OU fan and since they've been National Championship League relevant. This honestly may have been better than some of the Baker days, okay? It was bliss. It was bliss in Norman, okay? They had just beaten Texas in the Red River rivalry. Lincoln Riley had finally fallen apart. They were cheering. I mean, they hate USC more than UCLA. And it's honestly incredible. They hate USC right now. Oklahoma hates USC more than they hate Texas. And that is incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible how much they hate USC. They hate them more than Texas currently. Anyways, it was the greatest week ever to be an Oklahoma fan. That almost came burning down. Burning down against UCF. Dylan Gabriel, who still finished with 253, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Again, not completely sold. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. DG is a good quarterback. He is nowhere close to being a star or really a superstar in my opinion. But did enough to win this game. Nick Anderson, by the way, 5 receptions, 105, and 2 touchdowns. Shout out to him. Drake Stoops, always reliant, even though this is about his 20th year, it feels like, of college ball. 7 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown for the slot. And Danny Stutzman in that defense. Wasn't their best game. Was not their best game. Stutzman still had 12 tackles in this game, but nowhere near their best game. But still, when plays needed to be made late in that game, only that 2-point conversion. Then again, that was a lot of that really was dumb play calling by UCF, but nonetheless, Oklahoma makes a stop. They survive. So yeah, shout out to Stutzman in the defense, I suppose. John Reese Plumlee, JRP, had 248 and 3 touchdowns total. Baker. The 65-yarder, actually, hold on. That's wrong. Anyways, he had 134 yards in, what's that, 2 touchdowns. My bad. Lee Hunter had 5 tackles, 1 sack, 2.5 TFLs. RJ Harvey had 101. Gavin Shawchuk is who I wanted to talk about for Oklahoma. He had essentially what ended up being the game winner. He put the game away, and then Oklahoma's defense just fell apart in that last drive. UCF got down the field and nearly tied this game up. But yes, Oklahoma survives UCF. Survives. I don't know what to believe about Oklahoma. I don't know if they're a legitimate contender. I'm still not convinced. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Oklahoma's like a bad team, but something about them just screams like, you remember how Minnesota if you follow the NFL, you remember how Minnesota was like undefeated or had like 1 loss going into week 12 last year, and then it just all fell down once they really started hitting and it was time to like show up. You remember how they just kind of like fell apart? That's what this Oklahoma team screams to me. Like, surely like they don't seem like a legitimate contender, but college football's a little volatile right now, so that could work out for them, but they feel like they're missing something. They don't have that guy that I feel like, I don't know, they're just missing. They're missing something, but they're doing what has to be done. They're getting wins, so yeah, shout out to OU. They survive another week. Alabama takes out Tennessee. Yeah, there is no Hendon Hooker to save Tennessee. There will be no cigar smoking in Knoxville. Tuscaloosa just took over, man. Bama completely took over this game in the second half. 28 unanswered points. 28. Jalen Milroe continues to be on the precipice of greatness and failure every single week, every single play. 14 for 21, 220, 2 touchdowns, but also, because everything has to be perfectly balanced, 2 turnovers for Milroe in this game. At times, like I said, like that deep ball to Isaiah Bond, which contributed a lot to his 3 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But other times in this game, especially in that first half, what is Jalen Milroe doing? A lot of that. But nonetheless, they get the job done. Jason McClellan, run the ball, Alabama. 115 and a touchdown for him. That defense, man. The front 7 is special. You're really starting to see the power of the recruiting and some of the talent they've got on the edge especially. It's really starting to shine through. Jahad Campbell had that touchdown, that fumble recovery for a touchdown. Chris Braswell had 2 sacks in this game. That front 7 for Bama is absolutely special. And of course, we didn't even talk about Dallas Turner. So, yeah, just absolutely special front 7. Really won Bama this game. Joe Milton had 330 and 2 touchdowns. But, man, just some of the plays that Hendon made to win the game last year, in this game last year, it's a step down. No disrespect. It's a step down, and Tennessee's kind of wearing the after effects of this. It's not really necessarily a hangover from last year for Tennessee in terms of the quality, but it's just not the same team. I think the real challenge for Hugh Two-Face in the front seven. Bama gets the win. Saban was about to take all the Hellcats, all the Trackhawks at halftime, and that always works. So, yeah, Bama smoking the cigars this year. Minnesota. This was, again, an absolute sicko game, but that is Iowa for you. Just absolute sickos. It is a sick, sick team. Brian Ferentz, Kirk Ferentz, just, it's sick. It's sick. Absolutely sick. Disgusting football. Defensively, it's a great, but oh my gosh. Minnesota wins this game 12-10, and I don't even know. The crazy thing is, they should have won the game. Minnesota should not have won the game. But also, you can say that Iowa did not deserve to win the game with the way they played. That is the crazy thing about this game. Like I said, absolutely sick. You're sicko if you watch this full game. Dragon Quiche. Great name. 4 field goals in this game for Minnesota. I guess he's player of the game. Daniel Jackson also had 7 receptions, 101. Deacon Hill is not a good quarterback. But how many times have we been saying that for Iowa? 10 for 28, 116, and a pick. It was like they took like a random kid that was like, all right, he can throw the football decent enough, and throw him back there. But then again, with Brian Ferentz as your offensive coordinator, not much you can do. Cooper DeJean won this game. Or Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean. It's DeJean, right? Coop won the game. By the way, first round pick in my opinion. He's one of the best safeties, one of the best players, honestly, in the country. Super underrated because he plays for Iowa, but he is a dog. All right, Cooper's a dog. Coop won this game on an electrifying punt return that honestly everybody on the Minnesota punt should have been fired for because that was terrible coverage, and Coop just ran circles around them and won the game. That was not a fair catch. I get it, but this is a fair catch. This, while I'm running, is telling people to get out of my way and clear out. That's not a fair catch. That's not a fair catch. So I don't know what the refs were thinking, but it completely robs Iowa the game. But like I said, the score was 12-10. I don't know if I can say you deserve to win the game with the way that offense played. So yeah, it's classic Iowa, sickos game. Minnesota gets the win. It's Fleck's first win against Iowa. It was just sick, absolute sick football. Texas. I mean, my goodness, what a hangover. What a hangover for both Texas and OU. OU barely, by the skin of their teeth, survives against UCF. And Texas does nearly the exact same thing against Houston. Quinn Ewers came off firing. This felt almost similar to that Alabama game, which is not the type of game you want to have against Houston. But I'm not talking about this year's Alabama game. I'm talking about last year's Alabama game. Because once again, Ewers starts off hot. He goes 23 for 29, 211, 2 touchdowns, and then he hurts his shoulder, and now he's out for a while, which is horrific news for Texas. Malik Murphy, hope you're ready. Arch Manning, by the way, might be on watch. But Ewers plays great and then gets injured. C.J. Baxter with the go-ahead touchdown. That ended up being huge. Once again, we have another classic Xavier Worthy stat line. 6 receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Jaylon Ford on the defensive side of the ball had 6 tackles, 1 sack, 2.5 TFLs. Donovan Smith played a great game for Houston, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be. 378, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Matthew Golden had 7 receptions, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joseph Merjack had 6 receptions, 88 yards and a touchdown. But Houston just simply, I mean, those crucial final plays, man. That's what it came down to in a lot of these games, was these crucial final plays. And honestly, another iffy call, once again, came back. And, you know, you can say how that should have gone down for Houston and how, you know, that should have turned out. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hook 'em horns. They survive in advance. That was kind of the recipe for this week, because not everybody that was ranked survived in advance. Yeah? Not everybody made it out. Carolina didn't make it out. They played the worst team in the ACC this year. A team that's not even the best team, and they're not even the second best team in the state, if we're being honest. Virginia goes into Chapel Hill and beats Drake May and Carolina 31-27. Even with Tez Walker. Carolina. You know, I said last week, and maybe I jinxed them, I was like, you know what? If they keep this up, maybe, just maybe, they might be contenders to Florida State. Maybe we got something brewing there, but nope. Carolina said nope, don't give us expectations. Mike Hollins, by the way, shout out to Mike Hollins, been through a lot. 66 rushing yards in this game, 3 touchdowns. I mean, classic goal line statistics. Just classic goal line statistics. You gotta love it. 66 yards and a hat trick for Hollins. He was huge in this game. Malik Washington had 12 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown. He was giving that Carolina secondary all types of problems. Drakeo did not have an awful game. 364, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Made some plays that you're like, yo, I still, even though it's crazy to say with the stat line, right? But you still, like, there was some moments where it was like, yo, for who he's supposed to be, you want Drake to come up in these moments, but it just, credit where credit's due to Virginia's defense. But also, it's like, yo, can't miss there. He missed there and ended up being costly in some ways. Marion Hampton continues to be one of the best running backs, however, in the ACC and really overall the country. 112 yards for him. Shout out to Ollie Gordon, by the way. I did not put this in like the roundup for this segment, and this is kind of a weird place to put it, but he went off again for Oklahoma State. He had 248 yards and I think 3 touchdowns. So yeah, shout out to Ollie Gordon. But yeah, Marion Hampton, the other O running back that's been great this year, balled out again. Tez Watkins had 11 receptions, 146 and a touchdown. Bryson Nesbitt had 3 receptions, 93 yards and a touchdown. Cedric Gray, once again, another segment this year. Again, every week. It's every week. Cedric Gray, 18 tackles. He tackles everything with a pulse, okay? Everything with a pulse. If you were living and breathing, you were in danger of getting tackled by Cedric Gray in a Carolina game. 18 tackles, 1.5 TFLs for Ced. Power Echols as well as a monster. He had 12 tackles. That linebacking corps for Carolina is great, but they weren't great enough because Virginia is able to go in Chapel Hill and pull off the upset. 2 straight wins. 2 straight wins for UVA. Florida State takes out Duke in the other prominent ACC. I guess Clemson, Miami too. Clemson, by the way, won that game. But really the other prominent ACC matchup in this week was Florida State-Duke. Florida State gets the win 38-20. JT, he was the guy. He was that guy. 330, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was the catalyst. All right. Jordan Travis was the catalyst. He was Jordan Travis in this game. Which is what Duke, not what Duke needed, but what Florida State needed. And that got the Seminoles to win, especially in that second half. He just kind of took over, and he was that guy. He is who you want your leader to be, and that is what Jordan Travis did in this game. Jaheim Bell had a huge impact as well. 8 receptions, 53 yards for Jaheim Bell. Riley Leonard, after he got injured in this game, completely altered this. He was already, of course, injured coming into this. I didn't know if Riley was playing this week, by the way. But he tried to fight through the calf injury. He re-aggravated it. Wanted to come back in this game, but Elko said, no, I got to protect you. You're our guy. I know it probably might cost us this game, but we can't let you, got to protect the players. So I commend Elko on that because some coaches might have been like, yo, you want to be a warrior? We're going to let you be a warrior, and then Leonard's out for, a more substantial part of the time, and it could affect his career. But Elko, unfortunately for Duke, made the right decision, kept Riley out. But that, unfortunately for Duke, really just, they lost control. Offensively, could not move the ball. Even with Chris Moore on 110 yards and a touchdown and how dominant he was, it just was not to be. Dorian Masai, 14 tackles, 1.5 TFLs in this game. Wesley Williams had 3 tackles, 1 sack, 1.5 TFLs. Chandler Rivers with a pick 6. But it was not to be for Duke. No Riley, couldn't move the ball. And yeah, Florida State was able to pull away at the end. Go Seminoles. The last time, okay, this is the last time, probably this year, okay, I'm going to talk about USC in any type of relevant context, okay? The last time, by the way, AP poll, why are we ranked? By the way, for those, if you're watching this, if I upload this to like TikTok or something or whatever, and you're watching this, segment, go back in the videos over a couple weeks. Just skip ahead to the college football segments and find where I talked about USC. You will say, I've been telling, since the Colorado game, we needed to be unranked because we are not one of the best 25 teams in America. Some reason the AP poll still has us there. I don't know why, especially not after this week. I told you last week, in a segment you can see on TikTok that I uploaded, I said exactly what was going to happen. If you follow me on Twitter, I told you ahead of the game. It was the easiest money. By the way, I didn't bet. Maybe I should have. Easiest money in the world was Utah to win this week. By the way, if any of you sports betting companies want to, send the boy a sponsorship, I'm here. I am down. We'll love it. Any sponsors, by the way, I'm here. But, as I was saying, I told you what was going to happen. As a USC fan, saw it a million miles away. So once again, as I said on Twitter, by the way, don't know why we're seeing all of these, hit pieces and all these talking points about, man, Lincoln Riley, about, man, USC, they're not back, They're not who we thought they were. What do you mean? What do you mean? What did you expect? What did you expect to happen? Did any of you seriously think that USC was going to win this game? If you thought USC, listen, if you thought USC was going to win this game, you were one of two things. You are a Homer fan, which, okay. 2, you don't follow college football. You don't. I don't know how anybody in their right mind thought that USC was going to win this game. With all due respect to Southern Cal, I love them. I love us. Adore us. There was no way in hell we were winning this game. So I wasn't surprised. And if you listened to me last week and if you listened to me over the past couple weeks, you would know we weren't going to win this game. And honestly, I'm going to say it right now just to spell it out for you guys. We'll win next week. We'll beat California. It's probably going to be kind of close or hidden because I don't know how broken this team is yet. But we'll probably beat California. People will be like, yo, AP Poll will move us back up just in time for us to, I think it's Washington, who we played before Oregon. Just in time for that, right? We are going to lose to Oregon. We are going to lose to Washington. I think it's Oregon State, who's the other team in that, the kind of murder's row schedule. We're going to lose to all 3 of them. We're going 1-4 to end the season. Put a stamp on it. Come back to this video. Come back to this segment when we go 1-4. I'm telling you what's going to happen. You've been warned. Once again, I'm telling you what's going to happen. Not just watch it happen. Like we did this week. Utah really should have been this close, but wins 34-32. Everybody's in this big uproar. Once again, I don't know what y'all expected. I was not surprised, okay? They get a walk-off. Shout out to Becker, the kicker for Utah. Really clutch. USC may or may not have got, once again, the reffing was awful this week. Got kind of screwed on the targeting. So maybe USC actually maybe should have won this game. But they did not. All right, but we did not. Becker was able to get in range for the walk-off because we let Bryson Barnes run 25 yards. And by the way, Barnes had a great game. Like I said, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. It doesn't matter if it was Rising, Johnson, Barnes, your local JV quarterback. It doesn't matter. Utah is going to beat USC in this era. Anyways, Bryson Barnes, by the way, where is his stat line? I got it down here. 292, 4 touchdowns and a pick for Bryson Barnes. He was phenomenal in this game. Jaquaden Jackson, the running back for Utah, 117 yards. Sione Vakai. We hear a lot about Travis Hunter, by the way. Sione Vakai also is a great two-way player, by the way. A great two-way player for Utah. 5 receptions, 149, and 2 touchdowns. He gets none of the headlines, of course, because he wasn't as highly rated recruit as Travis, and we don't, have him maybe on all these NFL boards like we have for Travis. But Vakai is also a great Horning Award, nominee. He's a really good two-way player, so yeah, giving him some of his flowers. Caleb was better this week, but just marginally. 283 and a touchdown. Marshawn Lloyd had 7 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown. The offensive game plan, by the way, in the first half is actually much better than it was last week. We ran the ball to set up the pass, and it worked. And then I don't know what in the hell happened in the second half, but it was not anything good. Taj Washington finishes with 5 receptions, 112. Romello Height was great in this game. Felt like way more than 1 sack and 1.5 TFLs. Kalen Bullock finally looked like an NFL safety that he's allegedly, or All-American safety he's supposed to be. He had a pick six in this game. But, yeah, you see what happened. Zachariah Branch tried to win us this game. Single-handedly tried us to win this game. For some reason, God knows why, Utah punted to, again, maybe it's because y'all don't know and he was injured for a while, and y'all forgot that this is a problem. He is going to be a problem. I don't care how bad it is, or how bad USC, gets. Zachariah Branch is a problem. Sooner or later, punters, kickers need to get in their head, or for our sake, fight on. Please keep kicking to him. But, to play devil's advocate, why kick to him? Why? Branch nearly wins USC the game single-handedly. Takes it back to the 20. Caleb runs it in. But, yeah, it just was classic. It was just classic. It wasn't to be, of course. Alex Grinch is our defensive coordinator. They're going to run right through that. All right, they had plenty of time, 1 minute, whatever, how many seconds, 1 minute, some change. They get down the field. Of course, penalties happen, which were kind of shady. Branch gets 25 yards, and then they hit a field goal. And Utah beats USC, as I told you what happened. No surprises here. 1-4. 1-4. Come back to this when I'm right. Washington in the other Pac-12 after dark matchup. And boy, oh boy. I gave the Heisman to Michael Penix last week. I tweeted it out. I was like, yo, this is Penix's to lose. And he did everything in his power, okay? Washington and Michael Penix did everything in their power to lose all of the praise that they garnered last week beating Oregon. Now, this was in the middle of the night, so a lot of the people really did not care. But we're still like, yo, Michael Penix is like, Mike sucked. To put it bluntly, it was garbage. Absolute hot, steaming garbage in this game. It was grim. To be blunt, it was grim. 2 picks for this game for Penix. ASU, unfortunately, though, gave up 15 unanswered points, and that's just not going to win you games. Not in a game this close. Polk still had 9 receptions, 102. Rome still had 5 receptions, 82 yards. But boy, oh boy, that was grim. Powell's pick 6 ended up being a game changer. Grady Gross goes 3 for 3 from field goal range. And that is all she wrote for ASU. A game that they might think, man, we should have pulled off the upset, but Washington found a way to win. Found a way to win. It was a lot of surviving in advance, and they survived in advance with your star quarterback playing like trash. Found a way to advance. The Heisman is wide open. Lord knows who's going to win it. Of course, Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy, who I highlighted earlier, probably should be the top 2 candidates along with whatever non-quarterback player needs to be highlighted. They both balled out for LSU and Michigan. I'm not going to say who they beat because it really doesn't matter. They both dropped 40 pieces and threw for like 300 and 3 touchdowns. This is just normal stuff for them, okay? Oregon beat Wazoo, by the way, 38-24. Not really a highlighted game because Wazoo's kind of fallen off. But very good game for like entertainment value. Bucky Irving continues to be great. All Pac-12 selection coming, by the way. 129 and 2 touchdowns. Cam Ward had 438. Finally, a rebound game for him. A touchdown, but it wasn't enough. Lincoln Victor, though, for Washington State. 16 receptions, 161. I think that 16 receptions might have been a school record. But, yeah, Oregon still got the win. They look like the best team in the Pac-12, in my opinion. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, not baseball time. Yep, yeah, I got you with the pump fake. Combat sports, but really UFC. I'm probably just going to pop UFC, honestly. It's UFC 294. We were in Abu Dhabi. Which country, by the way, is that in? I want to see how long it took for you to set that. Because that's going to come really, really big in about 3 kind of segments. Well, not really, yeah. 3 matches. We're going to talk about that, okay? Of course, we're starting with the main event, because how do we not start off with the main event? Islam is one of them ones, okay? Islam is him. Leg kick KO of Volk in round 1. Now, Volk took this on short notice, but nonetheless, Islam. He's a monster, bro. He's a monster. He's the one. He is the one. He is pound for pound king. He is the pound. If you leg kick KO the pound for pound king in round 1, I don't care how short of a notice it was, you are the new pound for pound king. And it's the second time you're pound for pound king, brother. He got it. It's his era. By the way, Dagestani running the show as we saw on this card. Absolutely running the show, and Islam Makhachev is at the very, very pinnacle of that. He remains champion at 155, and I don't know who's stopping him. We'll see if Charlie Olives, who's probably got the best shot, he should get the round and run back. This was supposed to be actually Islam versus Charlie Olives, but yeah, Charlie got a little injured. So when he comes back, we need to run that, and we can see once and for all. But yeah, Islam should be pound for pound king. Volk, hated how he sounded in the post, in that kind of post press conference. Absolutely hated that. If he needs to take a break, please. Legend, one of the greatest featherweight to ever live, one of the greatest of all time. Please take a break. This seems like the city kickboxing boys are going through it a little bit with Izzy and now Volk. So yeah, if you need to take a break, please take a break. All right, you've cleaned out your division many times over. Of course, you got some new headhunters coming, but listen, I don't want him to like fall off the way he could fall off. But he's talking about this is like an addiction to him. So yeah, if you gotta take a break, Volk. But yeah, Islam is him. Khamzat Chimaev also, as we know, him. Majority decision over Usman. And what was a really good scrap. This really should have been a 5-rounder, but I know why it wasn't. Because once again, Usman took this on short notice because Paulo Costa, who was supposed to fight in this, caught a nice little infection on his elbow and then got jumped at the event, which was kind of wild. But nonetheless, Khamzat gets it done. He's a savage. Okay, he's a savage. Usman's a savage too. He's not washed. He's not as good as he was. He's not, this isn't like prime Usman anymore. But he ain't necessarily washed. He can still hang a little bit. And he hung with Khamzat. So credit where credit's due to Kamaru. But yeah, Khamzat. He should be next for Sean Strickland. And it's just a matter of time. All right, it's just a matter of when, not if, he becomes UFC middleweight champion. Because I don't see anybody stopping him. I do not. Khamzat is him. You're probably expecting me to say next, if we're going chronologically, Ankalaev is him. Nope. Because this fight got called a no contest versus Johnny Walker. Because once again, does anybody know where Dubai is? What country Dubai is in? It's the UAE. It's the UAE. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough. Johnny Walker gets hit with an illegal knee. Of course, we break off. It was accidental. Rule accidental. So, okay. And the doctor, who made a god-awful stoppage earlier in the fight, by the way, he comes up to Johnny Walker, whose first language is not English, by the way, and asks Johnny, in the middle of a fight, adrenaline running, what the question he chooses for the concussion test in Dubai, and not a well-known, what people will probably call country generally. If you go out to these streets of places and you ask what country Dubai is, you're not always going to get the UAE. So he goes up to Johnny Walker and he asks him what country is in. Johnny says, in the desert? And that's enough to stop the fight. They still tried to fight. They tried to get everybody out. They wanted to go at it, but it's ruled a no contest. They had to intervene. I think Johnny got kicked out of the arena. It was just an absolute disaster. Okay, an absolute disaster. I don't know if that doctor's going to have a job or has a job currently, as it is Monday now. I don't know if he's got a position anymore at the UFC. I'm not sure if he deserves to have one anymore. But yeah, just absolutely atrocious. That's not the question you ask in Dubai. Because I'm going to be honest. That's not like you could ask him, what city we're in, right? That might have been better. But what country in a foreign country, he doesn't speak English. And UAE is not as well known as you think. I don't understand it. But it gets ruled a no contest. Again, another example of bad reffing this week. Syed, again, another one of the Nurmagomedov clan. Woof, butchered Khabib's last name. He subs Gufarov. In pretty quick succession in round one, looked very, very good. It was a good bounce back win for him. Aliskerov KOs Alves. Like I said, if you're from Russia or you have a beard or you're from Dagestan especially, it was a great, great card for you, and you profited very, very heavily. By the way, if you're wondering why a lot of the Dagestan and Russian fighters have to fight or why a lot of them are on these Dubai cards, besides the fact that they're more popular over there, it's easier for their visas to get in places like Dubai. Of course, with the Russian and the war going on with Ukraine, it's not always easy for them to get to places. A big thing with Khamzat, a big reason why a lot of his fights have fallen through. So just a little bit of tidbits and knowledge for you if you didn't know. So now you know. UFC 294. Very good. Tragic for some of our legends, but still very good. Islam and Khamzat are them. Entertainment. Jin V, once again, another great episode. Again, another slower-paced episode. But these, slower-paced episodes have not been filler. They have still been quality, all right? We got to see a little bit about everybody. I love this. This was a great way to kind of get back at everybody's kind of backstory and still bring Kate back into the team and bring her some sympathy, kinda, even though Kate and Andre have been doing Golden Boy dirty. I was with y'all too, man. I was like, yo, it's kind of grease that you immediately started banging your best friend's girlfriend after he died. I thought I was kind of grease. Even more grease is that y'all been in love the entire time, and she was really only with him so she could, do the whole mind wipe on him when necessary. Crazy. I mean, crazy. By the way, Jensen Ackles, great as Soldier Boy once again. That was absolute jokes. As Kate's wet dream / imaginary friend in her kind of dream sequence. Also, she is OD powerful, by the way. If she can do that, like, put people into her dreams and kill them, that's actually insane. Her power level is kind of wild. If she ever gets to control that, that could be dangerous. Like, super dangerous. But yeah, Kane and Andre have been doing Grease. Even Jordan got clipped in this, as he could have helped out Golden Boy, but Brink, who he loves so dearly, told him to keep it on the low and offered him, positions of power. And yeah, he was greased for that. Of course, everybody else got to see Marie's situation and her backstory, which honestly is not as bad as everybody else. She accidentally killed her parents. That's nowhere. I mean, she didn't do anybody really wrong. Like, it was her fault, but it wasn't like her fault, right? She didn't know how to control her powers yet, and a horrific tragedy happened to her, and that was her downfall, right? That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing she's done. That was from the dream sequence. So, yeah, Sam and Emma. Wow, that was very LA Knight. Yeah, Sam and Emma got it on this week. She turned into a Muppet, but Sam was able to control it. So maybe he's controlling his powers a little bit, or the madness. But yes, Sam and Emma finally got together. We'll see how that goes. Shetty, at the end of the episode, she wants to kill all of the soups, alright? She said, how can we make this virus that just killed this soup that we were testing on contagious? So we're going to be very interesting with this. Gen V has been like the opposite of the boys, right? In the boys, we root for the non-soups to rebel against the soups. Here we're rooting for the soups to rebel against the humans. So it's a nice kind of contrast I've recognized and kind of how we're like supporting. So yeah. And of course, apparently the season finale, and this is all going to tie in. I think Shetty and Butcher might fall in love if they ever meet. So if that happens, I kind of might go crazy. But yeah, another great episode of Gen V. Another great episode of Loki. Season 2, episode 3. Miss Minutes is absolutely terrifying and down horrendous for Kang, or the one who remains. But we're just going to call him Kang because that's his name. But in this, timeline, he's Victor Timely. Ravonna, is she a Kang variant, or was it just, is the big secret that she was in love? But yeah, Miss Minutes getting mad jealous of Ravonna, and by the way, a cool like time period kind of episode. But yeah, she was getting mad jealous of Ravonna, and Victor just kind of flirting. That was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, she was down horrendous. She gets sent back. Loki and Sylvie continue to be on volatile terms, but are helping each other out a little bit more now. Mobius continues to be great. Shout out to Owen Wilson. Solid, playlist worthy. Go listen to it. I was very interested. I honestly, Cinch didn't get burned for it, so I'm glad about that. He gave a solid verse, but yeah, Laroi and JK especially went off on that song. Playlist worthy, and that was entertainment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, baseball, MLB, and it's time tonight. It is time, but let me set the stage, shall we? Let me set the stage for you. Tonight we have Game 6 of the NLCS. But Saturday, we had Game 5. So how did we get here? The Philadelphia Phillies and playoff Bryce Harper is how we got. Honestly, playoff Kyle Schwarber as well, okay? Bryce Harper continues to obliterate and just hotly approach some Phillies playoff records. He goes 2 for 4 in this game, 3 runs, but he had that all important. By the way, the Phillies do nothing but hit solo home runs, and it's working, all right? It worked in this game. They get the win to 6-1 over Arizona. Zach Gallen had a nightmare, but Bryce Harper, once again, continues to be he is the playoff player in baseball. He is the playoff player in baseball. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. He's playing like the best player in the world currently. Kyle Schwarber also is continuing to ball out. I think he might even be over 200 hitting on the average right now. It's kind of crazy. It's getting crazy out here. He goes 2 for 4, 1 home run in this game for Schwarber. He has been phenomenal in this series. Zach Wheeler was great. 7 innings pitched, 8 Ks. He was dominant. When the Phillies needed the game to take control of this series, they go up 3-2. Can Arizona, can they force Game 7? We will see. But man, the Phillies have been good. But yeah, Game 6 tonight. Gonna be very good. You know what else we got? We got Game 7. We got Game 7. Game 7 tonight. Because Texas in Game 6 last night gets the win against Houston 9-2. Whew. Adolis Garcia is scorching hot. 4 straight home runs. Or 4 straight games with 4 straight home runs. Oh my God. 4 straight games with the home run for Adolis Garcia. He is mashing right now and coming up big for the Rangers when they need it. Mitch Garver, by the way, was also unbelievable in this game. 3 for 4, 1 home run, 2 RBIs. Those 2 were, the catalyst. The absolute catalyst in this game for Texas. Back against the wall in H-Town. They're able to get it done. The Battle of Texas battles on to a conclusion in Game 7. We will see what happens. I got Houston, unfortunately, because Houston is just dangerous. All right. Jose Altuve, Game 5. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. He's second all time in playoff home runs now. He's way up on all the leaderboards. That Houston team, man. They've been here. They've done that. The reigning champions. It's hard to bet against them. We will see what happens with Texas, though. Game 7, Game 6 tonight. It's a great day for the MLB. Great day. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know that brings us to that special, special place we call the National Football League. And boy, oh boy, do we got something to talk about. Listen, Jacksonville. Maybe we should call them Saxonville. Because they put the pressure. Only got 1 sack, but they put that pressure. They put that pressure on Derek Carr. And sometimes pressure either makes diamonds or it crushes you. And the Saints got crushed. Trevor Lawrence, by the way. 204 and a touchdown. Pretty consistent. That's pretty consistent with what T-Law's been doing. He's just been a model of consistency lately for the Jaguars, and that's been a big reason why they are now 5-2, and they've won 4 straight games. All right, they are one of the hottest teams in the league. I'm not going to anoint them as one of the best teams in the league because we'll get to that. Oh, we're going to get to that in this segment. But Jags, they're on fire right now. ETN has been great. All right, he's just been great. Another 2 touchdown game for him. If you have him in fantasy like I do, it has been bliss. All right, another 20-point week. He's been great. 7 QB hits, like I said, almost Saxonville-esque for Jacksonville this week of Derek Carr. They brought the pressure. Olo Khan had 14 tackles in this game, 2 pass deflections as well. They had 9 PDs. 9 PDs of Derek Carr. The defense still gave up 24, right? But still made necessary plays, man. Made the big plays. Olo Khan also had a pick 6 in this game. And yes, the Saints just couldn't get it done. Carr was okay. He was mid. 33 for 55. 22 incompletions is rough. 301 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. It just wasn't great, man. Alvin Kamara had 12 receptions, though, and felt very AK-41 Prime-esque. But it was not enough. Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, late, 44-yarder, ends up winning the game. Jags win. The Browns, yes. The Cleveland Browns somehow won this game against the Indianapolis Colts. The reffing, once again, it was questionable. It was so very questionable this week. It was so very questionable. Kareem Hunt, from 1 yard out with 15 seconds to go, ends up being the game winner. The Colts just have to be kicking themselves about how in the hell did we lose this game. Again, not completely their fault, but somewhat. Come on, Colts. Classic Colts. But they're not supposed to be, actually they're 3-4 after this game. So they're still kind of in it. So a rough game to lose, nonetheless. But I could go on and on about, the offensive talent in this game and, what Minshew did or what JT. Josh Downs, by the way, 5 receptions, 125 and a touchdown for the Colts. Kenny Moore, he had 10 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 3 TFLs. Colts had 2 picks of PJ Walker because 2 sacks of the Browns quarterbacks as a whole. Deshaun Watson got injured in this game, got a concussion, but a lot of people are kind of iffy on whether he actually had a concussion or if he was just being soft. You didn't hear it from me. I could talk about all that, but I'd rather talk about the fact that Myles Garrett, that tier that we said with Micah and TJ Watt, Myles Garrett's in that tier. It's Micah, TJ, and Myles. That's the edges, all right, in the world, on the globe. It's them 3 and everybody else. Everybody else, okay? Myles Garrett took over this game. 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 pass deflection, and most crucially, as it turned out, A blocked field goal. Man jumped over the line and just freak athlete. All right, Myles Garrett is a freak. He's a freak. All right, I mean that in the best way. Absolute freak show. All right, built different. The epitome of the word built different. He looks like a genetic anomaly and he plays like a genetic anomaly. One of them ones. Browns get the big win on the road against the Colts, 39-38. Mac Jones. We have slandered Mac Jones so many times this year, all right, but we are not slandering him today. The Mac Jones legacy game, the Mac Jones legacy drive has happened. The Patriots take down the Bills. Jones drives all the way down the field. Only had like a minute and like 50 seconds to work with. After Josh Allen went down the field, he runs it in. 158 gives the Bills the lead. 25-22. Mac just needs to get in field goal position, but he says, screw that. I'm winning the game. I'm not dealing with no more slander. I'm not getting pulled for Bailey Zapp. No more. The Mac Jones legacy drive, man. 272 and 2 touchdowns from the Mac. The Mac. Return of the Mac. Mac Jones is back. I'm not sure where he was or if he even was here, but he's back, all right? Mac Jones, I just got to give him flowers, all right? We've slandered Mac enough on this channel, so we're giving Mac his flowers this week. Incredible drive, really to win that game, and he was great he was great all game. Kendrick Bourne, 6 receptions, 63 yards and a touchdown. For those wondering about the receivers, they spread the ball out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different receivers in this game. Or excuse me, 9 different receivers. Zeke got a target, but he didn't catch it. Nonetheless, great game. Just a great game. A great game, like from a neutral perspective, but also a great game to be a Patriots fan. And Mac Jones gets his redemption. We've ragged on him all year. Everybody's ragged on him all year. So yeah, shout out to Mac. The Mac is back. I don't know if he was here like I said, but he's back, okay? The Giants beat the Commanders. Yeah, the Giants beat the Commanders, which is not surprising. I think I picked the Giants in the pool this week. But yeah, Jonathan Allen is rightfully disappointed. The Giants scored 14 points, and the Commanders continue to not decide if they want to. The Commanders can't decide if they want to be mid or they want to be mediocre. They're really caught between those two M's, you know? They're stuck in that, like, abyss where it's like, man, sometimes we want to be mid, but sometimes we just want to, like, suck. And they can't really decide. And they just kind of, the same way we talk about Murrow being on greatness and just terrible, the Commanders are on the, like, mid to mediocre. And they flip a coin, and this week they were mediocre. So they lose to the Giants 14-7. Sam Howell was not great. Tyrod Taylor was better. 279, 2 touchdowns. It wasn't too much of a fall off, honestly, from DJ, which, no offense to DJ. Saquon didn't even go over 100 yards rushing. It didn't really matter. This was not a pretty game, but the Giants did enough defensively, and the Commanders are kind of fed up. But this is what you are. This is what you are as a team. Everybody. I had to watch everybody and their mother say the Detroit Lions were the best team in the league this week. I said, you know what? They're real. They're good. They're very good, maybe. That's what I said last week. That's what I said the past couple. I said the best thing about them is they know what they are. That boosted them a little bit. They came back down to earth. All right, the Baltimore Ravens brought the boys back. Lamar Jackson brought the Detroit Lions back down to earth. And killed all those expectations and all those titles and everything. All y'all been saying about the line. It died in a blaze. Okay, it died in a blaze. 38-6. Lamar Jackson. Let's recount for the people at home, what Lamar Jackson is, who Lamar Jackson is. Since Lamar Jackson has been one of the most disrespected quarterbacks probably since he won the MVP, all right, for a multitude of reasons. Honestly, I was a little worried earlier this year because they weren't really clicking offensively the way you might expect them to after, you know, everything that's happened for them. So, yeah, let's recant. Let's recant here the numbers. 21 for 27, 357, and 3 touchdowns. That's just passing. That's just passing for Lamar. Of course, we got to include the run game. He had 36 yards and a touchdown. So that is 4 touchdowns and, what's that? 390-something yards. 393, I think, yards. Dominant game. MVP-esque game for Lamar Jackson. He once again reestablishes and reaffirms to everybody that I am, in fact, Lamar Jackson, one of the best players on the planet. So, yes, Baltimore dominates. Mark Andrews, 4 receptions, 63 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Van Noy had 2 sacks. They had 5 sacks of Jared Goff in this game, who was not as great as he's been in the past couple weeks. Come back down to earth game. Like I said, it was a comeback down to earth game overall for the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown still got off. He had 13 receptions, 102. But like I said, welcome back to the rest of the world, Detroit. Y'all have been in the stratosphere all year. It was time. It was time to come back down. Y'all aren't there yet. Y'all have made big strides, but Baltimore Ravens reminded y'all it's a long way to go. The Bears get the win 30-12 over the Raiders, who are just not a very good team. I mean, neither one of these teams are very good, but Brian Hoyer as your starting quarterback is... I mean, you remember last week? And I was like, yo, if Brian Hoyer is hitting deep balls against you, you're not going to win. The Bears made sure none of that was going to happen. Hoyer was god-awful. He had 129 yards and 2 picks in this game. Tyson Bagent, this was the big story. Tyson Bagent, undrafted D2 quarterback. People question how he made the team. Also in this game for the Bears. This should have been a disaster, but it worked out. 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 3 receptions, 31 yards and a touchdown. He dropped a cool 37 for those that have him in fantasy. It was happy times, all right? I had to stream him this week, so all good for me. Jalen Johnson also had a pick 6, along with just having 2 picks in general in this game. So, yes, very rough game for the Raiders. Bears, it should have been a really bad game, but it was a really good game for them. So, yeah, credit where credit's due. Falcons and the Bucks, of course, let's go to more controversy. And also, Bucks, we say it every week. Put teams away. Not that you were in the position of, like, power or, like, an advantage throughout this, like, game. But the Falcons gave y'all opportunities to win this game, and y'all did not take them. So Jungkook hit a game winner and beats y'all at the crib. Falcons. Of course, the big story was Arthur Smith versus Bijan Robinson in the fantasy community, as Bijan wasn't marked to be out, but we found out during the game that he was sick. So he had 6 snaps all game long. It didn't matter because the Falcons won the game, and I guess that's what matters ultimately. Desmond Ridder did not lose the game. However, he did lose that fumble in the end zone, which was grim. Antoine Winfield Jr., one of them ones. And yeah. Bucks, not a game you need to lose. Falcons are 4-3, by the way. Despite everything, are 4-3. The Rams found a way to lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24-17. It was kind of remarkable because this was like you were just kind of waiting throughout this game for the Rams to like flip that switch and beat the Steelers. You were waiting for them. By the way, the Steelers are another team who we have panned. All right, and the media have panned, and Twitter has panned all year. They're 4-2. 4-2. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-2. For all we saying about Kenny Pickett not being the guy, for the Steelers are having it, they're 4-2. They're technically tied with Baltimore for the division lead. They're half a game back, right? All I'm saying, they went on the road here in Los Angeles, get it done. George Pickens, future number 1 receiver of this team, 5 receptions, 107. Foreman, Deontay Johnson was back this week. He had 5 receptions, 79 yards. So, a nice comeback game. TJ Watt did not sack Matthew Stafford. So, I guess a little bit of a moral victory for the Los Angeles Rams. But that is not enough. Puka. It was more Puka than Coop this week. Coop only had 2 receptions. Puka dominated. 8 receptions, 154. Hoek had 2 sacks. But like I said, the Steelers, I mean, listen. Tomlin's keeping their head down and they're winning games. That's all that matters, man. All that matters. Seahawks get the win versus the Cardinals, 20-10. About what you would expect. A lot of Jason Myers. A lot of Kenny Walker being Kenny Walker. JSN had a little bit of a breakout game. 4 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. And the Cardinals suck. So, yeah, about what you would expect in this game. That's all we have to say. The Broncos-Packers, once again, about what you would expect. Terroristic levels of football. Russell Wilson not being the guy, but this time not turning the ball over, so that means the Broncos might squeeze out a win, which they did. Jordan Love is not a Hall of Famer, okay? This is not a Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. It's not one of those. It's not happening again. It's not happening again. Jordan Love is who we thought he was, okay? He is who we thought he was. It's all good. When your leading receiver, by the way, is A.J. Dillon with 34 yards, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. Credit where credit's due, however, to the Broncos defense. All right, Cortland Sutton as well got in the box, but yeah, credit where credit's due to Alex Singleton and PJ Locke and the rest of that Broncos defense for getting the job done. But yeah, Packers welcome to the rebuild. All right, welcome to the rebuild. Kansas City gets the win over the Chargers, 31-17, in the immortal battle between the NFL planted Chargers fan with a Buffalo Wild Wings hat. Who in the hell has a Buffalo Wild Wings hat? And T Swift, who appeared in this game once again. Honestly, I know a lot of people are annoyed with like the Taylor Swift kind of, even though they've lowered a little bit of the coverage, a lot of people were up in arms about the statistic, which wasn't really that bad. Honestly, I'm here for her WAG era. All right, I'm here for the Taylor Swift WAG era. All right, as long as they don't really shove it down my face, I have no problem with it. Okay, it's cool to see pop culture intertwined with sports. So, yeah, honestly, I'm fine with it. It's cool to see. Just don't shove it down our throats. But I have no problem with it. Shout out to Sue. Listen, the nice little, it felt kind of like watching, the popular girls in high school watch which I was on the field, so kind of strange. But anyways, it's kind of like watching like high school girls watch their like guys play like on the high school football team. That's what the energy Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift were giving in the box, which, it was fine. It was fine. Honestly, it was fine. I'm not complaining. Sharp's tight end yardage record, like, yo, you're in danger, my boy. But it ended up working out. Pat Mahomes was Pat Mahomes in this game, 424 and 4 touchdowns. Jay Herbo was not Jay Herbo. He was Justin Herbert. He had 2 picks. We keep talking about all this raw talent, all right? And I'm kind of getting tired of talking about, what the Chargers could be. Let's talk about what the Chargers are. That's 2-4. As much as they got Keenan and Josh Palmer and Eckler and Bosa and all these, they're 2-4. The same way we pan Steelers between 4-2, let's call the Chargers for what they are. 2-4. They're not a good team. They've had a hard schedule. They played some dog, but they're 2-4. They didn't win the games. The games that are on the schedule, they have not won, and they're 2-4. Let's call the Chargers for what they are. By the way, the Chiefs are as dangerous as ever. All right, Miko Hardman, by the way. How do you have a handshake with Rashee Rice? You just got back. Rice is a free agent. Is in the playbooks? Like, what's going on? And to end off the NFL segment here, we got the Dolphins and the Eagles in one of the prime matchups of the week. A lot of people were talking about this one. The Eagles get the win 31-17. Listen, calm down. You know what I've noticed in the league this year? A lot of who's the best team in the league, quote unquote, that we keep like debating about, or who's the elite in the league, it depends on the matchup and it depends on the week. Because if this game is in not Philadelphia, maybe it's in Miami, Miami might win this game, right? I think these games are very much so dependent on the matchup. I think the Eagles are one of the best teams in the league. I think the Dolphins are one of the best teams in the league. But I'm not going to say either one is the best team in the league because I think everything is so heavily, which is really cool, I guess, as a fan. Because it's not like there's the dominant team in the league, right? We're like, nobody can stop them. All of the top teams are beatable. It just depends on the matchup, and I think that's a lot of what happened here this week. Of course, this was the matchup of the 2 Alabama quarterbacks whose careers will be always intertwined because of that national championship in which Tua took over from Jalen Hurts. But Hurts wins the matchup here. He has 279, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, compared to Tua's 216 and a pick. Tyreek Hill had 11 receptions, 88 yards for a touchdown. He is still on pace for those ungodly receiving yardage records that he's on pace to break. By the way, A.J. Brown might be joining him soon. Another 5th straight? Or is this 4? I think it's 5 straight over 125-yard games for A.J. Brown, which is great for me because he's on my fantasy team and he didn't have a great start to the season. But since, he complained, that has worked out marvelously for him. Not great for Devontae Smith, but great for A.J. Brown. 10 receptions, 137, and a touchdown. Jalen Carter is a monster. Josh Sweat had 2 sacks in this game. Nolan Smith had a sack in this game. All of the Georgia boys got off in this game. This was a great game for SEC fans just to see all of the talent on these respective teams do what they do best. But the Eagles were the better team on this night. Home field advantage matters. And like I said, I think a lot of who is the best team in the league depends on the matchup, depends where it's being played at. But for this week, shout out to the Eagles. They get it done. They move to 6-1. Dolphins fall to 5-2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that means we have reached the roundup. Let's go with some racing as always, man. All right, Chris Bell advances to that glorious, glorious championship 4 with the win at Homestead, Miami. Yeah, he took over the 305. Well-deserved, by the way. C-Bell has been great this year, so, yeah. Of course, credit where credit's due. He's been phenomenal. And, yeah, well-deserved. Very, very well-deserved. Larson is also the other man that is in. Reddick is on that edge, of course. William Byron is leading everybody currently. But, you know, if it all falls apart next week, maybe he could fall. Denny and Blaney were going at it. Of course, they're on the edge here. So, yeah, it's going to be another drama field. One of the good things about the NASCAR playoffs, it adds to the drama, heightens it. A lot of people might argue, man, if our guy dominates the season and then, you know, falters one race in the playoffs, that cost him the championship. But it does make for races and big, you know, moments like, you know, the upcoming week where it's like, yo, it's race, it's live or die, right? It's race or go home in a way. Still get the race, obviously, but for the championship stakes, it's race. It raises the stakes a little bit. So, yeah, like what we're doing with NASCAR. C-Bell, congratulations. He takes over the 305. And while NASCAR was in the 305, F1 was in Houston. Well, not in Houston, but in Austin, Texas. Hook 'em horns. Max wins at Coda, Circuit the Americas. This was a very interesting race. A race of strategy. Lewis Hamilton was, if they stopped them, if he gets that first stop earlier, he wins this race. Hammer time was happening. He was catching Max. If he has those 1 or 2 laps more, Max, who was losing his mind because he had no brakes apparently at the end of this race, gets past, and Lewis is back, and he wins this race for the first. He wins his first race since what, 2021? That's what happens. But they don't make the stop. Mercedes, by the way, it would have been even more problematic because in post, Charles Leclerc, who had a disaster week, wins pole, and then as always when he wins pole, Max wins, but Ferrari just completely botches his strategy on Sunday. They tried to do a one-stopper, which was just not the right strategy at this racetrack, and it just fell apart. It just completely fell apart. Carlos passed him. Checo passed him. He finishes like 6th. Him and Max just reversed. It was horrible. Horrible Sunday for Charles. He was heated, and then he gets DQ'd. Him and Lewis get DQ'd after failing inspection, and yeah, Logan Sargent gets his first points of his career in America. So shouts to the American. Max wins again. Breaks the record for most points in a season, and he's at 15 wins. 17. If he gets to 17, got 4 races to go. If he gets to 17, by the way, he will break Ascari's record for highest percentage of wins. Max is still him. Asia Wilson is her. All right, the Las Vegas Aces win the WNBA Finals in thrilling fashion against the New York Liberty, 70-69 in New York. Courtney Vandersloot, who was great all game, finishes with 19-7-6. She was really the only one for the majority that showed up big time for the Liberty, but unfortunately she airballs from the corner, and the Aces get their back-to-back championships. Asia wins MVP, well-deserved. She was dominant. 24-16. Jackie Young, by the way, 16 in this game. Brianna Stewart was in the penitentiary. She was in Alcatraz. All right, 3 for 17 for the MVP in a must-win game. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, Bree. Unacceptable. But yeah, Stewie, just a disaster in this game. Asia affirms her place as the best player in the world, and the Aces are the team to beat still in the WNBA. And ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time. The NBA returns this week. Wemby has been going absolutely stupid in preseason, so God willing to him and Zion's health, so we can see the two freakazoids dominate this year. But yes, the NBA is back. I know a lot of people have been waiting. A lot of people, the NBA honestly is, at least in the younger generation, pretty close to the NFL in terms of popularity, at least online. So yeah, NBA will be back this week. Of course, we'll talk about some of that next week. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed Game 7s tonight. Of course, another big week in the college football and NFL worlds. But without further ado, for episode 168, Ocho signing off.